on, girls, gather around. In order to get the kids revved up about the number and excited, and in order for them to feel what I wanted them.
I will explain the gossip. Never miss this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Love her or loathe her, you cannot talk about dance moms without bowing down or ducking for cover when it comes to Abby Lee Miller. From her infamous pyramid rituals to her explosive walkouts, Abby's over-the-top antics defined the show's chaos. And if you thought the drama was just on the dance floor, think again. Abby made sure the real show was always happening backstage, in the parking lot, or mid-scream in a rehearsal room. Let's dive into the most iconic Abby Lee Miller moments that left audiences speechless, made her a meme queen, and proved that the ALDC wasn't just a studio. It was Abby's chaotic kingdom. One of Abby's first unforgettable lines? That haunting warning, everyone's replaceable. It didn't matter if a dancer had just won first place or brought the team glory. If they stepped out of line, Abby had no problem showing them the door. That brutal honesty gave the show its cutthroat edge. Fans watched in awe as Abby iced out dancers and moms, like it was nothing. Even longtime favorite Chloe wasn't safe. And let's not forget when she told Brooke and Paige they could be replaced by two girls already waiting in the parking lot. Savage. Every week, the dancers lined up in fear for Abby's legendary pyramid. It was her twisted version of a performance review, complete with laminated photos, scathing critiques, and passive-aggressive applause. If you were at the bottom, you knew you were in trouble. If you were at the top, well, you were only one mistake away from being knocked down. Abby never missed an opportunity to rank her dancers like reality TV chess pieces, and the moms never missed a chance to explode when their child got disrespected again. Only Abby Lee Miller could reduce a kid to tears and then mock them for crying. Enter one of her most cold-blooded catchphrases: save your tears for your pillow. It wasn't just harsh, it was unreal. Jojo, Kendallnia, you name it, they all got that speech. And the worst part? Abby never flinched. Zero sympathy. This moment became a full-on meme and lives rent-free in fans' heads forever. Remember when Abby just left? Packed up and walked out of a competition? It wasn't once. It was multiple times. The most unforgettable? When she clashed with the moms, stormed out of the dressing room, and drove away mid-competition like it was her show, which, honestly, it kind of was. Fans were gagged. The team was stunned. And Abby? She didn't care. If dance moms had a royal battle, it was Abby versus Kelly Highland. The tension had been boiling for years, and it finally erupted in season 4 when Kelly slapped Abby in front of everyone, and Abby lunged at her like she was ready for round 2. It was shocking, explosive, unforgettable. Security had to break it up. The girls were in tears, and fans were sitting at home like, did that really just happen? Yes. Yes, it did. Nobody loved to gaslight the moms quite like Abby. She had a talent for screaming at them until they broke down, then yelling you're too emotional, as if she had been calm the entire time. Her war with Christy Lacasiak was especially iconic. Chloe's constant disrespect from Abby led to Christy unleashing every ounce of her frustration. And when Abby pulled the I'm the victim card, fans saw right through it, but also lived for the drama. Abby never hit her favorite. It was always Maddie Ziegler. And she made that crystal clear every single week. Special treatment? Check. Extra rehearsal time? Yup. Solo after solo after solo? Of course. The favoritism was so blatant. Even Maddie looked uncomfortable at times. And when anyone dared to suggest Maddie wasn't perfect, Abby went ballistic. Whether you loved Maddie or rooted for the underdogs like Chloe and Nia, Abby's obsession with her star student created some of the show's most intense rivalries. Let's be real, Abby is the queen of unscripted sass. Some of her most iconic burns include: the second is the first to lose. Do you want me to spell it out for you? This is a pyramid, not a democracy. You were good, but not good enough. Harsh? Absolutely. Entertaining? Without question. There was always something about that ALDC parking lot. It was the setting for so many legendary showdowns. But Abby's full-blown meltdown after a fight with the moms takes the cake. Screaming. crying, yelling at production, throwing bags. Even fans who were used to her tantrums were shook. And of course, that classic line, "I'm done. I'm done." Spoiler alert, she wasn't. Classic Abby move. Show up hours late to rehearsal or a competition, then act like the dancers failed her. She'd walk in with sunglasses, coffee in hand, and immediately start tearing into everyone as if they were the ones who were MIA. It was textbook Abby. The chaos followed her like a spotlight. Fans always hoped Abby would eventually apologize for her behavior, and sometimes she did, kind of. But if you listen closely, her apologies were actually masterclasses in deflection. Think, "I'm sorry that you feel that way. I regret nothing. I didn't do anything wrong." Every fake apology was more iconic than the last, and fans lived for it. Of course, we can't forget the real-life drama. Abby's legal troubles sent shockwaves through the fandom. In 2017, she was sentenced to prison for bankruptcy fraud, and when she left the show, it was with all the dramatic flair she'd given us for years. Her final scenes were emotional and chilling. She walked out of the studio in tears, saying she'd been manipulated and mistreated. It was a rare glimpse of vulnerability, but also the end of an era. Love her or hate her, Abby Lee Miller made Dance Moms what it was. She was the drama, the villain, the twisted mentor, the meme queen, the dance tyrant, the ratings magnet. Her iconic moments are burned into reality TV history, and fans still quote her every day. Whether she was breaking spirits or building stars, Abby was always the center of attention. And in the world of Dance Moms, that's exactly where she wanted to be. The pyramid of pain, weekly public shaming as motivation, the infamous pyramid, the ritual that turned a group of children into a battlefield of egos and anxiety. Abby's weekly ranking system was less about constructive criticism and more about asserting dominance. Fans watched in horror and fascination as Abby called out each girl one by one, her tone cutting deeper with each layer of the triangle. Top of the pyramid? A golden ticket. Bottom? A scar on your soul. Christie's eye rolls and Holly's tension during the pyramid ceremonies were practically part of the choreography. Everyone's replaceable. The threat that haunted the ALDC, the scariest phrase in Abby's arsenal. Everyone's replaceable. This wasn't just her mantra. It was a threat. Whether it was Paige being edged out by a guest dancer or Chloe being benched in favor of Maddie, no one was safe. Abby used the promise of replacement like a sword over the girls' heads, keeping them in a constant state of fear and competition. Moms were constantly on edge, defending their kids like mama bears while Abby prowled the studio, ready to pounce with new talent at any moment. Abby versus Kelly. Hair-pulling, screaming, and full-on chaos, the most infamous fight in Dance Moms history. Abby versus Kelly. It started as a typical blowout over choreography, but quickly spiraled into a shouting match, and then into full-on violence. Kelly slapped Abby. Abby tried to bite her. Producers scrambled. The kids cried. And fans? Glued to their screens. It was so intense it sparked legal drama off-camera. If anyone ever doubted how real the show was, this moment cleared it all up. Save your tears for the pillow, Abby's cruelest catchphrase. Imagine crying because your dance teacher just crushed your spirit, and then she tells you to save it for your pillow. That was Abby's signature brand of tough love. The phrase became iconic for its brutality, especially because it was delivered to girls who were already dealing with impossible pressure. From Kendall to JoJo, everyone got a taste. Fans turned it into a meme. But behind the humor was a disturbing truth. Abby expected emotional shutdown from children for the sake of winning. Walkouts and vanishings. Abby exits like a diva. When Abby didn't get her way, she left. Mid-rehearsal. Mid-competition. Mid-drama. Whether storming out in tears or leaving the team to fend for themselves at a competition, Abby's walkouts were legendary. One time she even left in the middle of teaching a routine, hopped in her car, and peaced out without a word. The girls were lost, the moms were furious, and producers probably needed therapy. Each walkout was Abby's way of reclaiming control by completely abandoning it. Maddie Mania. Abby's one true favorite. Let's not pretend. Maddie was Abby's favorite. Everyone saw it, and Abby didn't hide it. She showered Maddie with solos, praise, and private lessons. Meanwhile, Other girls had to fight for scraps of attention. The favoritism was blatant, and it created a toxic dynamic that fueled some of the show's most dramatic fights. Christy versus Abby always circled back to Chloe versus Maddie. Abby built Maddie into a superstar, but she burned a lot of bridges to do it. Second is the first to lose. The ruthless philosophy. Abby never celebrated second place. To her, silver was just failure with extra steps. When the team placed second at a comp, you'd think they lost the Olympics based on Abby's reaction. Second is the first to lose wasn't just a quote, it was the entire ALDC mindset. This impossible standard pushed the girls hard, but it also led to countless tears and blow-ups. Fans were both horrified and obsessed. Parking lot battles. Abby's outdoor meltdowns when the fights couldn't be contained by 4 studio walls. Abby took it to the parking lot. Screaming matches, crying kids, and even producers getting dragged into the fray. The parking lot became a secondary stage for Dance Moms drama. Some of Abby's rawest, most unfiltered moments happened there. Whether arguing with Melissa, confronting Kathy, or yelling at crew members, the parking lot was Abby's confessional booth. Kathy versus Abby. The Candy Apple Civil War. Abby's rivalry with Kathy from the Candy Apples Dance Center was pure reality TV gold. Every time Kathy appeared, Abby went feral. From screaming matches to snide jabs about technique and costuming, their beef was both personal and professional. Kathy would show up to competitions just to taunt Abby, and Abby would respond by losing her mind in the audience. Fans lived for it. Return from prison. Abby's wheelchair power move. After serving time in prison and surviving cancer, Abby made her grand return to Dance Moms. In a wheelchair, but just as fierce. If fans expected a mellowed Abby, they were mistaken. She rolled in and immediately reclaimed her throne, ready to whip the new team into shape. The girls were terrified, the moms were skeptical, and the audience? Glued to the screen. It was Abby's comeback era, and she made sure it was unforgettable. Abby versus producers. Breaking the fourth wall. Abby didn't just fight with moms, she fought with production. She broke the fourth wall more than once, calling out the editing, the manipulation, and even her own contract. One time, she accused the producers of setting her up for failure, demanding they show the real story. These moments pulled back the curtain on the reality behind the reality TV, and fans were hooked by the chaos. Abby's emotional goodbye tears. Finally, from the Queen of Tough Love. In one of her final scenes, Abby broke down in tears, reflecting on her time with the team, her legal troubles, and her health battles. It was a rare moment of vulnerability that gave fans whiplash. The same woman who once told children to suck it up was now crying on camera. For many, it was the first time Abby seemed truly human. And despite everything, fans felt a little emotional. Just a little. Love her or hate her, Abby made Dance Moms what it was. Abby Lee Miller didn't just lead the ALDC, she was the show. Her unfiltered rage, impossible standards, and accidental comedy turned Dance Moms into must-watch TV. Behind the chaos was a woman who lived for dance and demanded greatness, no matter the cost. She made enemies, broke hearts, and created stars. And whether you screamed at your screen or quoted her every word, one thing's for sure, there's never been another Abby Lee Miller. Fans still haven't recovered from the way Abby weaponized fear as a motivational tool. That cold stare and the words, "everyone's replaceable," had moms shaking in their UGGs. It wasn't just a motto. It was a threat dressed in rhinestones. Imagine showing up to dance class wondering if today was the day you'd be replaced by some random kid Abby met at a convention. Brooke? Out. Paige? Gone. Chloe? On thin ice. It kept the team competitive. But let's be real. It was giving emotional damage. Let's talk about the weekly pyramid, the show's messiest tradition. Abby would build this flimsy paper shrine to her ego, and then rip kids apart row by row. Moms weren't just mad. They were furious. The fights that broke out over who landed where were next-level petty. The worst part? Abby didn't always base it on dance. Sometimes it was about who disrespected her or whose mom rolled their eyes. Dance moms turned into gladiators just to get their kid to the top slot. At the talent ranking, try public humiliation with a side of shade. Abby really said no emotions allowed. A dancer would be on the verge of a breakdown, and instead of comfort, She hit them with a "save your tears for the pillow." Fans were shook. It became a meme, yes, but it also became a line that defined Abby's terrifying brand of tough love. Even JoJo, known for her unbreakable spirit, got steamrolled. We were all waiting for anyone to say, "Actually, Abby, maybe it's you who should cry into a pillow." Abby didn't just walk out, she stormed out. Mid-rehearsal, mid-competition, mid-life crisis. One minute she's yelling about costume rhinestones, the next she's in her car, driving off into the sunset with zero explanation. One time, she straight up left the team stranded at a competition because she wasn't respected. Imagine being 12 years old and suddenly choreographing your own routine because your dance teacher pulled a diva move. Iconic? Yes. Unhinged? Absolutely. The fight of all fights, Abby versus Kelly, is the kind of reality TV that gets replayed for eternity. What started as screaming about choreography turned into a full-on physical altercation. Kelly slapped Abby, Abby lunged, and the other moms froze like it was a live crime scene. Producers had to step in. Kids were crying. And yes, there were lawsuits. It was the moment when the tension between Abby and the moms finally snapped like a brittle hair bun. Abby was never shy about her Maddie obsession. Extra solos? Yep. Private rehearsals? Obviously. Praise for sneezing correctly? Basically. It wasn't just favoritism. It was a full-on Maddie cult. And while Maddie was amazing, Abby's open bias made it impossible for the other girls to thrive. Christy nearly lost her mind watching Chloe be overlooked again and again. It was giving Dance Moms the Maddie show, and the moms were not here for it. Abby's one-liners were brutal. "Second is the first to lose." That line lives rent-free in every fan's mind. And she meant it. No matter how hard the girls worked, unless they were number one, Abby made them feel like total failures. The kicker? Sometimes they did win, just not the way Abby wanted. Cue another meltdown. Another quote? "This is a pyramid, not a democracy." Someone get this woman a reality TV Hall of Fame plaque. The parking lot was Abby's second stage. When the cameras followed her out, you knew it was about to go off. Whether she was yelling at producers, clashing with Kathy, or trashing a mom's parenting, Abby always delivered drama under those fluorescent parking lot lights. One time she screamed at the top of her lungs about costume changes like it was a national emergency. Fans were like, "Is this woman okay?" She wasn't, but we were entertained. After Prison, Abby returned to Dance Moms in a wheelchair with a vengeance. Everyone thought she'd be softer, maybe more humble? Nope. She was as demanding and savage as ever, maybe more so. It was her comeback tour, and she wanted to remind everyone that the ALDC was her empire. The new girls didn't stand a chance. Abby was back, and she was judging full-time. There were times Abby got so fed up with production she'd break the fourth wall entirely. She called out the show, the editing, even the contracts. Fans were gagged. You could tell when the scripted drama turned into the real deal. She once threatened to quit unless they stopped making her look bad. The irony? That's when she looked the worst, and fans couldn't get enough.